That's the issue. How funny. So our little workaround with
There we go.
the host round robin, that's what did that. Yeah. How funny.
Learning a lot. We're learning a lot.
Wow. No, I'm definitely gonna have to investigate what that was about. I'm glad we found that little workaround.
Yes.
Good call,
Now
Jonathan.
I see people joining. Yeah. As
Floodgates
I'm relating an anecdote to you, Sarah's like, that sounds familiar.
Oh,
Wow. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I see people coming in, so we'll give it just a minute. I know we're 3 minutes past the hour, so apologies for that. But reasons. All right. All right, let's get underway with introductions so we can get the show on the road. What do you say, guys?
sounds good.
Okay, everybody. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Michael Kotsamore. I'm your humble host. I don't do any of the work today. I just get to sit here and learn with you all. So fortunate to be joined by two professionals, though. Sarah Benson, USLI. She's an underwriter. Jonathan Chernoff, he's an instant quote specialist. He's going to give us a demo toward the end of the presentation. If you guys haven't seen Instant Quote, you're in for a treat. So what's our topic today? Let's see. I'm going to have to share my screen. How about that? Let me get this in the right spot. Boom. And you guys should now be able to see a slideshow. I think we're good, right? Good? Okay. All right, so introductions are over. I'm going to turn it pretty quickly over to Sarah here, who has the bulk of our content. I'm going to run through the agenda here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking time to spend with us this morning to learn more about our specialty educators, trainers and instructors product. So our agenda for today, we're going to try to keep this a pretty tight-knit presentation. We want to be respectful of everyone's time. We want to talk about the opportunity with the product, our product focus, class distribution, what are the product advantages that the USLI product has to offer, and then near the end, I'll kick it over to Jonathan and he will show you just how easy it is to get a quote.
Awesome. And I should say, everybody, we welcome your questions as always. I forgot to mention that, but you can enter those at any time. I'll be monitoring chat, and if they're particularly relevant to what Sarah's covering, I'll go ahead and interject and ask that. Otherwise, we'll reserve them to the end just so that we respect everybody's time, like Sarah said. And so let's carry on. All right. Yeah, sorry. Go.
No, that's okay, Michael.
So Sarah, I wanted to actually lead off on this slide because there was an interesting stat that forecasted in the U.S. that by 2020 there would be something like 300,000 personal training jobs. And so I'm wondering, what's the current landscape since that's now in the past? Like, can you tell us more?
Yeah, absolutely. So as folks may believe, personal trainers continues to be on the rise. Obviously last year kind of threw a wrench and probably a lot of projections on various industries. But with this wonderful virtual world that we may all be sick of, it really presented an opportunity for personal trainers to continue with their operations, especially when maybe physical fitness centers and gyms did have to close due to COVID. So there's actually another statistic which was reconfirmed during the pandemic just under a year ago, that the employment of personal trainers was going to grow by 10% between 2016 and 2026. So we're just right now kind of at that halfway point, but we are continuing on that path of growing the industry by about 10%, which is huge.
All right.
Awesome. Oops. And you know what? I think we had a couple more good facts to share on that previous screen. So just to continue building off of that, why are we talking about specialty educators, trainers, and instructors today? What does that opportunity look like? So Michael and I just chatted a little bit about the personal trainer industry. Other classes that we write under this product, dance studios. So in the United States, there's more than 65,000 dance studios. There are more than 25,000 tutoring centers in the US. And again, perhaps as everyone can believe, given the past year with education, tutoring centers or tutoring operations, I should say, as a whole, has really continued to boom to assist children with unusual formats of learning that we're now all in. So when we look at personal trainers, dance studios, tutoring centers, those are just 3 of the 30 different classes that we write and that I will talk about today. So what does that equate to? That's a $29 billion industry. So a lot of opportunity for us to write business, to make some money. So it is a really good set of industries.
Yeah, Sarah, as we were coming into today's session, I was just thinking a lot of people specialize in one thing or another, contractors or restaurants. And I never hear anyone say, oh, I specialize in, specialty training centers, right? Like there's a huge opportunity there. And so those of you joining us today, you have that opportunity to grab hold.
Absolutely. So, again, kind of looking at what types of risks are we looking at? What fits under this product? Because it's not super clear by the name alone. So we are looking for some type of instruction that's not taking the place of formal education, such as a public or private school. So I know something that even pre-pandemic, I was starting to see more and more of were schools that supplement homeschooling education. That's not something that we're a market for. It's not our intent to be providing the primary education. We want to be providing more enrichment or more hobby, just as opposed to, again, that primary source of education. It is okay within this product for children to be left unaccompanied by a parent or guardian during their lesson or instruction. So I was thinking, I took dance lessons growing up, and we were just talking the other night about how my parents never got to come into the studio and actually watch my dance lesson, and my dad would hang out in the car. That's okay. Another example might be with tutoring centers. You might drop your child off at a tutoring center, go run some groceries, come back. That's all okay. What isn't this product? So again, as I mentioned a little bit on the previous slide, not looking to insure private or public elementary, junior, or senior high schools, not a college or university. We are not a market for trade and vocational schools. So I periodically get requests to quote someone who's providing training to become an auto mechanic or a plumber. That's not the intent of this product. As I mentioned, we're not a market for homeschools or extension of homeschool programs. We got asked, we do have a childcare facility product. This is not that product, so we can help out with childcare. It would just go a different route. And then traditional summer and day camps with ineligible activities or that are unrelated would not fit. So if you had, say, like a 3-month basketball camp, that we could entertain. What we don't want is like my kids go to day camp every day at the YMCA while I'm working. They are doing all kinds of different activities. It's not really teaching one specific skill set. So that would not be a fit. And Michael, if you don't mind, I see, I was able to see a question jump in that I would love to just be able to provide some direct feedback on.
Yep.
So, it looks like Jessica asked, are we a market for martial arts studios? Great question. it definitely sounds like something that would fit under this product based on what I'm describing so far. But we are actually not a market for martial arts studios or similarly boxing studios. We don't want anything with any physical contact. I know my kids do Taekwondo, and we keep joking about like someone, getting kicked in the nose, which really isn't that funny, but we don't want to be risking that injury. So that would not be a fit for us.
So fair to say lower hazard, even though, you just mentioned basketball camp, that might involve some physical activity or contact, but it's not the primary focus of the activity, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right. So as we move along, so Sarah, I see a few classes highlighted here. What's the significance on this slide?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So this slide lists out the 30 different classes of business that we write under our specialty educators product. It's nicely broken down into sort of 5 different subgroups just to kind of, I think it's easier to remember like the 5 subgroups as opposed to 30 different classes. So you've got the athletic training, educational, hobby schools, job training, performing arts. And then the ones highlighted in yellow, those just represent our 3 most popular classes that we write. I'm always a little nervous. Like I like to share in where we're having the success, but at the same time, I don't want all the other opportunities to be overlooked because as Michael mentioned, and as I mentioned earlier, there's really a ton of opportunity with all these classes of business.
Well, and the one that stands out to me is dance, because we just had that mind-blowing stat of 65,000 dance studios, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
So we have a very broad appetite in terms of pricing and our rating basis. So we are admitted in most states that we write business in, and I believe all of the states that J.E. Brown writes business in, and Michael, correct me there if I'm wrong. Rating is based off of annual sales. We do allow for certain off-premises field trips. So again, going back to the dance studios, which I don't want to, not give highlight to any of the other classes we write, but just based on my own past experience, we used to go perform at different dance competitions. We had recitals, different festivals, and, we're allowed, coverage will extend to all of those locations, which is great. We can consider online exposures. When I was talking about personal trainers earlier and just this virtual world we've lived in, we're able to contemplate virtual instruction. As with all USLI products, we love new ventures. So that's where we get a lot of opportunity. Someone's getting ready to open a business. A lot of carriers say we want at least, 3 years in business, 3 years experience. We love new ventures. We write them all day long. And we do also allow for certain special needs students to be included in the instruction. We just don't want a school where that's the primary focus.
Got it. All right. So Sarah, we have come to, oh, I apologize. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So a couple of ineligible exposures to be aware of. Schools with swimming pools on their premises, that is not, that's not eligible. As I'm sure, folks can appreciate and understand, swimming pools just presents a huge liability exposure that really cannot be contemplated in our minimum premium $500 policy. I don't know if you could put a insurance premium price tag on a risk with a swimming pool and children around. And then also we do require background checks for employees and volunteers. So if you have a school that's not performing background checks, that would also make the risk ineligible.
Quick question for you. I just thought of this on the fly, but you mentioned the rating basis being sales. What's the cap? Where do you max out?
Absolutely. Great question. So we can consider risks with up to $5 million in sales, which, and I will also say that that's per location, Michael. So, especially like tutoring centers is a good example that I would share. Very popular, hot industry right now. And maybe you have someone that's opened up a few different locations. We can consider a risk with multiple different locations up to 5 million in sales.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. And then this just displays our limits available. So we do offer general liability limits up to 1 million each occurrence, 3 million aggregate. We do provide $5,000 medical expense coverage. But just something to clarify on a typical quote, medical expense coverage is not going to cover the students. However, most classes of business, we do provide a buyback option for that if you want that coverage. And then property, we do allow up to a total insured value of $3 million. That gets lowered to $1 million in coastal locations, but we do not consider the West Coast coastal locations. That's really a hurricane type exposure. So that pertains to the East Coast, where I don't think that really represents what, the group we're talking about today. So the 3 million it is. If you need higher limits than that 1.3, we do also provide excess and umbrella limits of up to $5 million. We do offer hired and non-owned auto coverage. Equipment breakdown is included in our quotes. We also offer employee benefits liability coverage, which is providing coverage for negligent acts, errors, or omissions in the administration of the insured's employee benefits program. So I just always like to clarify that's not employer's liability, which is sort of an extension of workers' comp. It's not EPLI, which is employment practices liability. But it is another line of coverage that we offer. One of the things I love about this product is so many products and so many classes out there, it's so price driven. This product, I think, not only offers really competitive pricing, it gives you really good coverages to talk about. And one of those coverage advantages is molestation and abuse coverage. Anytime that you have a risk where you're working with children, molestation and abuse coverage is so important to have, and it's really adding value to what you're offering to the potential insured. So what is this coverage? It's coverage for the insured's negligence because of any molestation or abuse to which the insurance applies. Molestation or abuse means sexual or physical injury or abuse of any person. What can be considered negligence? It includes negligent hiring, negligent supervision, failure to protect, or failure to report. And then what's the definition of the insured? It includes employees for acts within the scope of their employment by you. So, one of the things that I like to share, this is for your employees essentially, and your negligence in hiring those employees. The CG001, which is the ISO general liability policy, which is what the form that will come with this policy is, illegal acts aren't covered. So if you get accused of molesting a child, your insurance isn't going to pay for that. But if your employee gets accused of molesting a child, that's where your insurance kicks in.
Oh, whoops. I think I was muted there. So it's the idea of vicarious liability, right?
Yes.
Got it.
Now, I do want to circle back around on what I said just a moment ago, which is where if you get accused of molesting a child, there's no coverage because that's an illegal act. Well, unfortunately, in the world we live in, there's a lot of accusations that get spouted out all the time. And, it's not uncommon to hear on the news about some high profile case, and at the end, the person is acquitted of what they were accused of doing. And that's such a wonderful moment to know that you're not found guilty. But what isn't shared when you're seeing that wonderful news story is that person still had to pay a whole lot of money out of pocket to save themselves, to save their reputation, to prove their innocence. So what happens in that scenario? The insured gets accused of molesting a child. They are later acquitted, which is wonderful news for them. But now they still had to pay all that defense cost coverage. We offer coverage to help reimburse them for those defense expenses. So we offer, it's called certain civil criminal defense cost reimbursement. And if you are, found not guilty of abuse and molestation as the insured, we will actually provide reimbursement cost coverage. When I look at this product, and we offer this on some other USI products as well, I think one of the biggest missed opportunities for coverages is this. Defense cost reimbursement coverage is huge. So again, talking about bringing value to what you're offering your insureds, it's right here with this coverage.
And Sarah, as we come into the professional liability section here, I thought I would lead in with a claim example that's relevant. It pertains to a tutoring center. So the mother claimed that the learning center failed to render professional services in tutoring her child for the SAT. The kid's trying to get into college, right? And so he was unable to get into the college he wanted to attend. And the parents, they sued basically. And they wanted basically, I think, the cost to hire a special tutor, and then they wanted their money refunded. And so the claim was settled for $10,000.
That's a great example, Michael. Professional liability, another way to really help sell this policy based on coverages provided. I think you think of a tutoring center and you think of, okay, well, someone comes, they slip, they fall, they hurt themselves, and that's general liability coverage. But so much of the exposure is professional. You're getting hired to provide a service. And we all know the pressure on high school students to do well on their SATs, to get into their dream college. It's huge. And if something doesn't go quite right and you have an unhappy parent, that's not, your general liability coverage isn't going to do anything. That's professional. And so this is so important to have that professional liability included as well. With most classes under this product, we do automatically include the professional unless you specifically ask not to have it included, and it's included up to the general liability limits.
But not for gambling, right?
No, not for gambling.
All right.
Medical payments. I mentioned this briefly earlier, but we do offer a buyback option for select classes so that you can have the medical expense coverage covering the students themselves. It eliminates one of the benefits is it eliminates the need for a separate accident and health policy. And it's available on all classes except athletic instruction, dance, or personal trainers. The thought there is those are really the most physical of the 30 classes we write. And we feel that really those classes should have an accident and health policy.
Yep, fair enough.
And then just going over the product advantages. We offer a wide variety of classes, no premises liability limitation, competitive minimum premiums. We do offer blanket additional insured coverage, medical expense for students, no general liability deductible, which is the case with all USLI products. We can consider short-term policies. If you recall earlier, I mentioned that 3-month summer basketball camp. We can just write a 3-month policy for those summer specialty camps. Professionals included on most classes. Abuse and molestation is available on most classes. We offer hired and non-owned auto, the employee benefits liability coverage.
Awesome. Well, before I bring Jonathan in here, there is one person asking about sharing slides. Yes, certainly, we can send those to you, no problem. And I encourage everybody, if you have questions, now's the time you can drop those in. We'll probably wait till after the demo to answer most of those, but feel free and enter those now. And Jonathan, you are up, my friend. We're going to talk about instant phone quote.
All right, let's do it. Thanks, Michael. If I start coughing, I apologize, everyone. I have a little bit of a cough right now, but so what I do, again, what Michael said at the beginning of the presentation was I'm an instant quote specialist with USLI. So really what I get to talk about is the quickest way for you to take all this information that Sarah provided for you, all this great information on our different classes we can write for you, quote for you, and how to get that quoted as quickly as possible. So the quickest way we believe you can do that, or we know you can do that, is by calling USLI directly over the phone and getting a quote. So J.E. Brown has made available to you all, their agents, the ability to call into our underwriters and quote the vast majority of these classes that we heard about here over the phone. So if you dial that 866-712-6781 number, that is J.E. Brown's, again, dedicated number that they made available to you all, their agents, so you can quote directly with USLI over the phone in just a few minutes. So the way the process works, you dial that number, you tell us what you're looking to quote up. If we can do it, we ask you a few eligibility questions, we quote it for you, and we email that quote directly to your inbox. So what I tell agents all the time is, look, if you have a piece of business, you think it could be a fit with us, give us a call. More often than not, you have the information that you need on hand. We have great underwriters, and you find that out right there and you end up with a quote in your inbox. So it's really as easy as that. So we really want to encourage you to call that number when you have this type of business, give that a shot. And another beautiful aspect of this process too, is we're not going to ask you FINI or court forms. So I've yet to meet an agent who likes to fill those out. If that's anyone here, I apologize, but that would be a first. And we're not going to ask you to do that. And additionally, part of that process, if we are able to quote for you, we will need you to send that bind order to J.E. Brown as part of that process. That can't be sent directly to USLI. And if it's a piece of business that we can't quote for you, we are going to transfer you back over to J.E. Brown. They're going to remarket that business for you to their other carriers. So even if it's not a fit for us, not the end of the road. So what I am going to do now, really the easiest way and the best and most efficient way to show you all how this process works is to get an underwriter on the line, go through a demonstration so you can hear this process, get comfortable with what the process sounds like, and have that real experience like, oh, okay, that's how easy it is. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to dial that number, I'm going to get an underwriter on the line, and we're going to run through a quick demo call here for one of the classes that Sarah was able to discuss with us earlier. So just give me one moment here as I bring on an underwriter.
One moment, please. Good afternoon. This is Judy. How may I assist you?
Hey, Judy. Jonathan Chernoff. How are you?
Hey, good, John. How are you?
Doing well. I'm here with some of our agents with J.E. Brown. I'm doing a webinar, and I wanted to show them how easy it is to get a tutor quoted over the phone.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to help you with that test quote. What state do we want to use for the quote?
This is going to be in California.
California?
Yep.
And would the applicant have any losses or claims?
No losses or claims.
Okay. And then let me ask you this, John. When we say tutor, is it an in-home tutor or is it a tutoring center?
This could be an in-home tutor.
In-home tutor, okay.
Yep.
And do you know if they operate any online or virtual learning throughout the day, such as like overseeing virtual learning?
Nothing like that right now.
Okay. All right. So all like after school independent work.
Exactly. Yep. They meet students after school, they do some math tutoring, and that's pretty much the sum of their services.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
And then do we have a location address for them?
Yeah, let's use 123 Main Street. We'll get really creative here. And we'll use the zip code 94598.
All right. So when they go to multiple locations, if they're going to their clients' homes, or if they have clients come to their home, this does not have a premise limitation on it. So we would normally use their primary address, which in this case we'll just say is that 123 Main Street. But it does follow them wherever they go throughout the year to do the tutoring operations.
Awesome.
What general liability limits were they looking to carry?
Let's do the 1 million, 2 million.
Okay, and do you know what their annual gross receipts are?
Yeah, it's going to be 60,000.
60. And do you know if they offer any off-premise field trips to swimming pools, lakes, beaches, skiing, ice skating, anything like that?
No, nothing like that.
Okay. And did you want to include a blanket additional insured related to their teaching operations?
Sure. What's the, is there any additional premium for that?
I'll see where we're at within minimum premium,
Okay.
but our blanket normally costs $100, but if we're within minimum premium, there is no additional charge.
Perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and add that.
All right. I'm just working on getting this quote generated here for us. It does look like I'm able to generate admitted terms through United States Liability Insurance Company, AM best rating of A++ superior. It's an annual term eligible for direct billing. And for GL limits at a 1 mil, 2 mil for an in-home tutor with 60,000 of gross sales, we automatically include professional liability, and then we have that blanket additional insured. We are within our minimum premium of $500 for the year. And with a broker fee, we're at $537 total due.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Judy. Really appreciate your help.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else I can help you out with?
That's it. Thanks again. Have a great rest of the day.
All right, you too. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, everyone. So that is the whole process. I don't think it gets much easier than that, much more straightforward. It's a really great group of underwriters over there. A lot of them have been in the industry for a long time, really know what they're talking about. And what's great about this, and J.E. Brown giving you all direct access to them, is that you can use them as a resource when you're quoting with us and J.E. Brown. So the classes we discussed today are definitely phone eligible. All these other products are phone eligible as well. So if you don't have this postcard, reach out to us, Michael, and let them know that you want this postcard. We want to make sure you have this so that when you're quoting with us and J.E. Brown in the future, you know exactly what type of business that will be a fit for us. So yeah, that's everything, Mike. We can head to the next slide. And lastly, I just want to make you all aware that you do have the ability to quote online as well. It's the same questions, the same process. It's just online at jebrown.net. So you can go there, sign up, and quote online. So just want to make sure you know that that option is available to you also.
So unbeknownst to Jonathan, while he was doing that demonstration, I started the timer. I don't know if you can see that. Does that beat your record? 2 minutes and 53 seconds to get a quote?
It's up there. It's not far off, but that was a quick one.
Pretty good. Sure. I think that kind of makes the point, right? It's 2 minutes and 53, not even 3 minutes to get a quote, right? So
it's a $500 premium policy, right? You don't really want to spend much more time than that on it. So that's really the mindset.
Yep.
Also.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Shall we get into a few questions? I do see at least one here. And this one, I don't think I can answer. So I'm going to tee up Sarah on this one. You guys a market for, or here's how it reads. Does this market have appetite for driver's education courses?
So that's a great question. USLI is a market for classroom instruction for driver's ed training. It does not fall under our specialty educators product. So this class would actually fall under what we call our premises preferred product. It's stripped down premises liability. It's excluding products and completed operations and personal and advertising injury. And the reason that we do it that way is The predominant exposure with driver's ed is that behind the wheel training. I know when I see one of those vehicles on the road, I kind of steer clear of new drivers on the road. When it comes to the classroom instruction, the primary exposure there is just that slip and fall exposure. So if you do need coverage for that leased classroom space, we can help you out with that.
Great. Yeah, great question. And we appreciate all of you participating and feeding us those questions. That's really wonderful to see that engagement. There is another question here about self-defense classes. I know we talked about martial arts and you not wanting, the karate studio or jujitsu, whatever, but what about self-defense classes? Is that off limits as well?
Yes, Michael, that would fall sort of under that same exposure concern that we have with the martial arts, jujitsu, boxing studios. I've taken a self-defense class before, and usually you kind of have a partner and you're kind of practicing, and we really don't want anything with sort of physical contact between two folks.
Sure. All right. Let's see. Someone else is asking about the accident and health coverage. So you mentioned, some classes you guys feel should have that standalone. I guess that's what they're asking is, do you offer that?
So USLI does not offer accident and health coverage. So you will need to secure that coverage elsewhere. But again, as I did mention earlier, for 27 out of our 30 classes that really have a lower accident exposure, we do give you the option of purchasing sort of buy-up coverage on the medical payments to cover the students, and then that would negate the need to have an accident and health policy.
Gotcha. Oh, are you guys still able to see my screen here?
Yes.
Sorry, I thought it dropped out for just a second. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions we had here. Feel free, folks, if you think of something after today, reach out to your regional sales manager or call our office at 800-955-8213. We're going to cut you loose, and we appreciate your attention today. We appreciate your business. And hopefully this has opened your eyes to, the opportunity that exists around specialty trainers. We think it's sort of an untapped opportunity and one that's going to continue to grow. So we welcome your submissions. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Sarah. Bye, Jonathan.